Meeting, we recessed on the principal's report because we lost some Wi-Fi. We have to have a motion to come in out of recess.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think you can just go right into it.
Mr. Broadley, you have the floor.
Okay, so for the interest of our viewers, I'll quickly recap everything. I was in the middle of my report when we lost the contact. So open house, we spoke about open house on the October 6th. It was a successful event. We welcomed families to come and visit school. We had many information tables set up to inform parents and programs of opportunities for students. We had approximately 40% turnout by the amount of progress reports that we handed out. That's how we measured it. And I'm going to get a survey out. I still haven't got that out yet, but I want to get that out to families just to see how we can improve. I mean, I think we did a good night, but there's always ideas out there that we can listen to and improve on. Fall sports, a little bit further on, football and field hockey played a playoff game over the weekend, and wrapping up their season. Boys and girls soccer, boys soccer had a playoff game at Stowe. They were unsuccessful, but again, all the great experience in these two developing programs. A lot of young students, and I'm hopeful of some success, and you can measure that any way you want in the future. I think having kids out there and playing, that's a great measurement of success. Cross country, went to Deptford, the state meet at Deptford on Saturday, and they had a remarkable turnout. We've got a lot of young kids there too, 9th and 10th graders, and these young girls especially have been improving as the season's gone on. And you know what? We're not too far away from a shout at another state title in that, by my estimates. Hi, Priscilla. Student leaders, we've got next week, four student leaders going to the Athletic Leadership Conference in Burlington, sponsored by the VPA. Our mechanical projects, Ryan from M&E Engineering, he was out last Tuesday and Friday visiting our site just to put finishing touches onto, I believe there was a few things he wanted to actually see and touch and feel before they finished all their recommendations for the final project. And the generator work from Milton Cat that we've had on the burner for a long time, and again, it's not through our fault. It's just the labor and the essential factor of all work that they're doing in different places. They are actually going to start here on the 28th with the circuitry work for our generators. So hopefully, the estimate is about a couple of weeks, and then we should have our generators up and running and back onto demand response capability and emergency response capability. Future program presentations at our next board meeting of Kelly O'Ryan, the councillors, and some committee members presenting on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we're working to support and how we're working to support students in these areas. I believe as well, they're still waiting for survey results on a school climate survey to give them data to report out on. Again, they'll present it if they have it at our meeting on the 14th. And this is an area that we will continue to address and support the needs of our students. Also, Freshman Academy will present on how the program continues to work in supporting many of our most needy students. Any direct questions from the board, which I've had quite a few already, thank you very much, should be to me by the end of tonight or tomorrow morning would be fine. And I will get them to the right people to generate some answers. The science area update, we had a representative from one of the district architects on Friday, October 7th, to look over the science department and with a view to upgrade our science facility. We had the feasibility study done by we should have it done by approximately today. It was on there. We did get that back. So that will be a topic of discussion at our Haver meeting on the 10th of November to get a recommendation to bring back to the board.
Hang on, just lost. Oh, June. You just lost the board member.
We have.
Oh, you're good. All right, sorry,
Okay,
Priscilla came in.
okay.
Thank you.
There you go. Awesome. Financial literacy. The math department continues to use Next Gen Personal Finance semester course and a financial algebra curriculum to teach our financial literacy course. In the summer of 2022, last summer, Mr. Clark, who is one of our teachers developing the course, completed a graduate level course with Champlain College's Center for Financial Literacy. This course and its faculty strongly favor the Next Gen Personal Finance curriculum, which is nationally accredited and as national standards based. It's current, it's thorough, and it's engaging for young people. However, he is also continuing to forage ahead with our own BFUHS curriculum, which I will hand out the draft that he gave me, and I will email it out to all the board members that aren't here tonight. I'll get that out tonight to you. And this will give board members hopefully a better understanding of the course and help in our further discussion of making this financial literacy a graduation requirement and what it involves. Mr. Clark will present at our next meeting on the 14th. So again, that will give you a first-hand rendition from the person developing it and allow you to ask questions about it as well. Budget, FY24 budget. As we head into budget season and look at programs that we need at the high school, I want to ask that we look at the infrastructure. I know in media there's been a lot of talk, or not a lot, there's been some talk about the needs of our infrastructure. And I want to begin by looking at a bond for the BFUHS to restore our driveway. This has been a long ongoing topic. We did almost have it in 2018. It didn't make it, I believe, on one of the voting agendas, and then it just kind of fell off the shelf, and then COVID hit. So I've been challenged by both superintendent and the board chair to be more dynamic in my leadership. So here we go. You're going to see dynamic me, a new dynamic me. This is one project that has been ongoing, as I said, and I believe it will start in the budget committee with help from the business office. So it'll be the first bond that I've undertaken, but I have seen them before in projects we've done, and if it's for the benefit of our school, hopefully we'll justify it. The fall play begins this Thursday with vignettes from Almost Maine by John Cariani, and the performances will be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at 7 p.m. That's all I got, and I got it. The internet's still working. So.
John, a couple housekeeping.
Yep.
I tried to keep track of everything you said was coming in
Sure.
on next meetings. So the first thing we had was on the 14th. We had scheduled just the guidance counselors. I'm not sure why that whole committee is coming. We had asked.
I mean, we can
We had
certainly
asked
put.
for the guidance counselors to come in.
So I had included Kelly O'Ryan because she does a lot of work right now around Title IX, but also with harassment and bullying. So to talk about the support that she is providing students.
Okay.
I thought,
So what I heard from him was that the diversity group was coming, and my imagination is, from what I remember, that's a lot of people, and that's not what.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Not the committee itself, but representing.
I want to see Kelly and the guidance counselors. I don't want to see 25 people.
Yeah, no, that was not going to happen.
That's
So,
okay.
Yeah.
And so couple other things.
Yeah.
You said that Tim Clark was going to be at next meeting,
Yeah.
but we already have the guidance counselors on the next meeting.
And freshman academy.
And you have freshman academy. We can't do, unless we're gonna start here at 3 o'clock, and I can't do that. It'll take an hour for the guidance counselors. And I think that we need to do one at a time. I think that's too
Okay,
much.
I'm easy on that one. You tell me what you
So
want.
I would
and
like
will-
Tim Clark on the 28th and freshman academy on the next one after that.
Okay,
I just think that's too much for one meeting.
And do you want to put, if I'm hearing correctly, time limits on some of those things? So you said guidance counselors an hour. I mean,
Well, I mean,
or are you just anticipating it's going to take a while?
That's really long.
those things take time, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But
I
it's
only
really
want one a
long for
meeting.
listening, for our listening hour, it's
One.
a long time.
Right.
No.
Okay,
So say it again. Guidance on the 14th.
Guidance on the 14th, not that whole committee.
Right. Nope. I got you.
Tim Clark on the 28th and freshman academy on that second week of December. The 12th.
12/12.
all right, 12/12.
Okay, I think I took care of all the housekeeping that I heard in my head, and I will let Mr. Clark speak now.
Thank you, Molly. Am I heard?
Yes,
Okay. I have two things. First off, I regard the driveway in its current state as a traffic calming device. And I am going to challenge the principal, Mr. Broadley, over the question of whether he is prioritizing the driveway over the needs of this building. And that's actually sort of a rhetorical question, but I think it is known that we have some serious deficiencies within our four walls that require attention. And the second one, Molly, this is related to financial literacy. I will be very interested to see what the homegrown curriculum looks like, because I do recall at this time last year when we were doing budget that we were sold on the idea of funding half of fifth math position for the purposes of developing a financial literacy curriculum that at the time some of us argued we could buy off the shelf, which we've done anyway. But if we are going to make financial literacy a graduation requirement, and we are already at 28 credits, which in some instances has the net effect of denying kids access to the tech center because you fail in English or you fail in math, or heaven help you, both of them, you ain't going to the tech center because you got to make those credits up. So are we going to have a 29th credit here, or is there something else that we're going to throw overboard? It's another question which I think could be addressed when we have our financial literacy discussion. And that's what I got, Molly. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, David.
Just for everyone's, David, just you mentioned something just so the board is aware. When we had the representative from the architectural firm out to get us a bid on the science area, I also asked her to give us a bid on what it would be to do a feasibility study for the entire building, and to get some of that. And I pointed, I said if we had to look at different areas as maybe a la carte, because of how we had to break up dollars and stuff, the family consumer science area, the wood shop area, the front entrance area are some of my high priorities, but also in the academic wing, how can we reimagine using the area without, walls, but what new materials could we use and stuff like that. So what I had asked for was get me the science, because that's a high priority, and then get me a bid on the other. So I am waiting on that, and I think that will inform us on some of the where we can direct some of our ESSER funds and whatnot. So
Well, thanks, Andy, because you're actually front running my director's comments for later.
Anything else for Mr. Broadley?
Last year, we had attendance, the percentages given to us. I would like some information on that. Maybe for the next, percentage of attendance, kids attending. Last year, it was given to us. How many students were in attendance on a regular basis?
I can do
And
that.
absences.
Yeah.
Versus absences, it's just, you have that information, I know, in the computer, so it's not shouldn't be.
Weekly, daily.
I think we had both last year, but whatever works well for you to give us just some input so that we're seeing the comparison with last year.
The first
and
day of
this year
hunting
and before pre-COVID, you compared it with pre-COVID last year,
Sure.
so.
No, absolutely.
Anything else for Mr. Bradley? Committees, we just made a building and grounds committee meeting for,
Sorry, is Mr. Bradley talking about warrants? That's on the original agenda. Or am I talking about warrants?
No, I think-
Here, sorry.
Yeah, I think that was.
I missed it.
The Haber update was attached.
Okay.
And the warrants were either you and or June. I know I spoke with June. You can,
so,
well,
sorry, I have the wrong agenda up here, but, warrants. Would you like, let's speak about warrants right now with Mr. Bradley's report. Would
Sure.
you like to speak and then
Yeah.
John can help us?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. So I have been signing off on the warrants religiously for the last 2 weeks. Grab my notes with, sorry. So my goal is to be consistent and to help with previous issues that our district has had with audits from the audit, I guess we call them the audit department. I usually try to spend time talking to the office staff. I can't remember all their names, but they're all super helpful, very gracious individuals. Jim's been great. He's been very helpful. So I'm just confused. I'm confused, and I'm sending out emails, and I'm trying to be very transparent. I send it to everybody, so we're all on the same page. I want to save. I firmly believe that a dollar is a dollar, and I don't want to waste it. So one of the issues I came across was mileage. Somebody was being paid out at 56.5 cents a mile, and it's supposed to be 58.5 cents. And so one was 56.5 cents, one was 58.5 cents. I want to make sure that whoever's catching those things catches those before the audit department catches it. And I want to be consistent. And I want to save as much money as we can, either go back into the school for or whatever students need, or for the community as taxpayers. I am concerned about the oversight and also people I'm also concerned that, I'm assuming Mr. Bradley, you're the person who signs off on everything, that they might put you in a spot where it's kind of like oh, sorry about that, I won't do that again type of thing. Because I've asked several times that we take a look at the shipping cost, and it seems like the athletic department continues to have shipping costs all the time, and everyone, I mean like every other department. Like last time on the audits, the music department got a whole bunch of equipment in, we'll call it, and zero shipping from what I saw. But then again, you see the athletic department, and we keep saying it over and over and over again. So I don't know where the message is not getting to the right person, or it is, and they're just being insubordinate. So,
can I answer that one, Jason?
yeah, sure.
Okay, so I appreciate the close observation of our warrants, because it keeps us on track. I do sign off on them all, and there's information that doesn't always go with them. So let me just speak to one of the most up-to-date ones. was for, I believe, socks, and the shipping was somewhat higher than it should be. I can't remember the exact figure. It was like 100 and something. Ian had worked, our athletic director had worked out from where he buys his socks, there's 2 or 3 suppliers, and with the shipping, but the price of the socks, because I did go back and confirm this with him, actually paying a little bit more shipping, we actually overall saved $120. So if it's just the shipping costs that you want lower, I'm good with that. I can make sure we go for, you know, whatever supplier that ships the lowest. But we do spend time looking into those things. Maybe not every time, but a lot of the time, because it is important. So that was one example.
Is there a way then to, and I'm not trying to make policy or whatever,
No.
more like maybe somebody could write on it more detail? So
Sure.
6 months from now or a year from now, the person who's actually checking the books has all the detail they needed.
Sure.
I don't even know if they get into it that far into it, you know. But I just want to be consistent. I want to save as much money for the school
enjoy that.
and us. And then, so it was a couple.
Before he goes on, can I comment on
Sure.
the mileage? Mileage, according to the contract, is supposed to be the mileage that was in effect on July 1st.
It's the federal
So
rate, correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct. So a lot of folks are
sometimes-
they use old forms.
Yeah.
And they, and I think this year, just with the transition of a new businessman, like that didn't just get regenerated and pushed out. So people are grabbing old forms. And I mean, I used one and I caught it and had to make my adjustment for myself. So.
And they normally self-generate, don't they, by the rate. So anyone filling it out would just put the mileage in and.
Correct, if you saved it, right, you saved
it.
it, you just go in and just do it. Like, yeah, I don't think everyone knows to check, so.
So one of the other things I saw was there was an appliance repair done, and it was the bill is $100. That's a fantastic price. Congratulations. But 20 of it was travel, and the person literally lives a block away. So I just thought maybe Jim could coach that individual to maybe not put the travel in there. I mean, again.
Well, but
looking at it.
some of that is a standard vendor is going to charge you certain fees. So just as Mr. Brawley's talking about the socks, so they can charge us $100 for coming out, or $80 and $20 of travel. They're still going to charge you $100.
Yeah.
So just as Mr. Brawley's talking about with the socks, so we can pay $300 for socks and $100 shipping, or we can pay $400 for socks and no shipping. I mean, it's.
Yeah, again, maybe more detail.
So.
And then I brought up to Jim, so we were looking at budgets last week, Molly, and I brought up to Jim, I didn't see anywhere on there where Harley generates revenue for the high school, and I could be wrong, I just didn't see it. So Harley generates, I think, a lot of revenue for the entire district, and then how does that money get put back to the high school? Because the high school uses the electricity, the water, what else? The sewer, all that kind of stuff. So if he's generating revenue, we should be able to get a piece of that. And Jim thought that was a good idea. And it's not on the warrants, but that's just in general.
So I'm sorry, so the food service is assessed because it's an SU service. So when a building hosts an SU service, so if I'm hearing you correctly, every time a building has an SU service, you should be charging us for use. So when you have a specialized program here, we should be charged rent for having that specialized program. Or the school buses, you should be charging us rent because they're using electricity. It's part of the assessment. And so that's why there isn't anything charged back. I mean, we generate food in almost every building but Grafton. So if we're going to get in the business of charging backwards and forwards because of food service, then I think you're going to see, again, the costs of food services going up. I mean, that's.
Maybe we should look at it then as far as what the actual cost is then, and then I'm not sure. I just think maybe we can look at it a better way. It just, see, I'm on this board, so I can't really speak to the other stuff, but I'm looking at how do we generate more revenue to, you know, help pay for the things that we need, whether it's science or whatever. I don't know if there's a way to look at it. So I don't want to get off. That's not a Warren thing, but basically, Molly, I would like to continue to be consistent with it. I would like, you know, as much oversight as possible to not waste any money, to either put back into the schools or put back into the taxpayers' pockets. And it just seems like we tend to we're sending out a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I mean, everyone sees what's going on. It's a lot of money. So, thank you.
Jason, when you're signing as well, if you could put me on the original email CC, I'd be happy with that, because again, it helps me if I've missed something too.
What, are you not on the BFUHS board?
No, I am, but I usually get it sent from Jim after you've sent it in. So just
I'll do that. No problem.
Just to get, you know, because again, I can start reviewing things right away if I've missed anything or whatever. So,
no problem. I did not know that. Thank you.
thank you.
Anything else for the principal? So I'm not sure if we did this or not, so I'm just gonna say the Bellas Falls Budget Committee meeting is meeting on November 3rd here at 6 o'clock.
At 6.
Correct.
Okay, good.
What about building and grounds?
Building and grounds.
Building and Grounds is on the 14th at 5.
Yes. Forgot to write that. I put it in my calendar, but forgot to write that.
So, committees, we've taken care of that. And staff reports, alternative, we did that already, financial literacy we did.
It wasn't a whole business.
Now we're at solar net metering opportunity.
All right.
So just, you know, Andy's got this and can talk about it, but the best way to hear this is to, if you didn't log on to the SU meeting, that's where the gentleman had his whole presentation. And that's a good thing to just get on and listen to it, because not that Andy isn't going to get every single point across, but he said a lot. It's his business. So I think it's important that that's where you get, you know, that's where you see it.
Yeah, thank you, Molly. And I think, Alex was here, and I forget his last name. I do apologize, from Novus Energy, just doing a presentation. They approached us, so they're building a solar array, the old gravel pit. Is that good? I'm looking at Margaret because I know she's involved in this, so she can give me some pointers here. And we have an opportunity, or they wanted to extend an opportunity to the district to basically be a part of it and do some net metering, where we would, as a district, save approximately 13 cents a kilowatt that we would get back. And they actually have an array already up, that's up in, it's up north somewhere, that they would like to get 2 of our schools on. One of them is the high school, and would, if we were to jump on that, the savings for the high school would be about $10,000 in year 1. I believe it's a 20 or 25 year agreement. Sorry?
I think 20.
Yeah. So that we would be in it. And there was quite a healthy discussion about green energy and net metering and what does all that mean at that meeting. And I will not do it justice. I admit that. But what we had talked about at the board was sending it to the finance committee to essentially look at it and crunch the numbers to see if it worked. What Alex did say was that it's the Novus Allen solar project, which is up north, is due to come online here in the next month. And that would be the one that the high school and our Grafton school would be a part of. And so there's a little bit of an immediacy to jump on and sign on if we wanted to get on that. And so, but the motion from the board was to send it to committee.
Send it to the finance committee.
Finance committee, yes.
At the SU office and
Right.
have them. Mr. Kibbe has dealt with this before, had some experience, had a lot of questions for Alex that he felt, probably a meeting with just him and the finance committee would help answer some of those questions.
Yep.
And there is a good, it was a good presentation, so if you can log on to it.
And we're trying to get this proposal up on our website so that if people want to look at it, they can take a look at it. So.
Committee's meeting on the 9th, I think.
The finance committee is meeting on the 9th, but it is a budget review. So I don't know, just because we're in budget season, if they'll be able to pick it up. March was a date tossed around, which would potentially take us out of the running for that up north array.
Okay, teacher evaluation. June had asked for this and I've lost her.
So I can speak a little bit. We had the previous administration had worked to work towards a new type of evaluation plan, which was more based on a walkthrough model. So traditionally, when you do an evaluation on a teacher, it tends to be a lot of the models. I'm going to sit with the teacher. I'm going to.
Wait, is June right there? Yeah, I was going to see if she wanted to just hear she had asked for something on the agenda.
Some Jeopardy music.
Hi, you want me to put you on speaker so you can listen to the teacher evaluation? Oh, so you're good? Well, hold on. I'm gonna put you on speaker and you can listen to him and then ask questions. Okay? All right, you're on, June.
Can you hear me, June? All right.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. So the traditional format would be that teachers would be evaluated on a schedule. Typically, it was a 3-year schedule. Principal would set up that schedule with their staff, and you would say, okay, I'm going to come evaluate you on, November 15th. Can you bring your lesson plan? We'd sit down, you go over it with them. You come in on November 15th, see exactly what they're doing, and you write it up, sit down, and pretty much check the boxes. And so I typically refer to it as a dog and pony show. And so the walkthrough model that was originally brought up by Kim Marshall, who's a guru when it comes to teacher evaluations, was that you go into a classroom unannounced for 5 to 10 minutes and you do a quick little observation and provide very, in time, within 24 hours feedback to the teacher. And that's done not at the same time every day, but it's done consistently throughout the year, doing those walkthroughs and providing that feedback. And Mr. Marshall had done a lot of work and done some research to show that that's actually more effective than the dog and pony show. So again, just as a little bit of history, and I'll go quick. So Mr. Pratt had moved us almost all the way over to a system that actually was not designed to do evaluations. It was just to do observations. And so working with the principals and working with the association, we've been working to develop a new program that actually incorporates both. So there are sit down, traditional watch what's going on, not necessarily the dog and pony show, but a principal can come in and just do an observation. and sit down. But then there's also a schedule of a certain number of walkthroughs. And so what we did was we put that together with, as I said, Mr. Broadley was part of that piece. And we put together a schedule so that we have a teacher who's a probationary teacher. So that's a teacher who's in their first through third years with us. So a teacher who's like a probationary teacher. So there's a schedule so that in year one, they're going to have 2 formal observations and they're going to have a certain number of walkthroughs. And in year 2, they're going to have that same, they're going to have a similar type of prescription. And then year 3. So we've got some good eyes on a brand new teacher that's come to us. And then a teacher that we call an effective teacher, they're on a 3-year cycle for their own recertification that we would go through, that we would be doing walkthroughs and working with that teacher on goal setting, and then getting to a point where you have the ability to do formal observations in that last year. And then at any time when a principal determines that a teacher is possibly in need of improvement, then there's a whole cycle for that teacher to go on that incorporates a lot more observations and a lot more eyes on. And so a lot of it comes down with the principal of each building working with their faculty and doing those observations. So June, I don't know if you have questions on top of that.
Well, as you know from my parent comment, my issue with some of them is Power School Update, which I think is part of their job. So I know that I've talked with several other schools. I know that they do have the teachers and the students do a evaluation similar to the one you sent around for the principals at every semester. And I didn't know if that would be something we could include
Yeah,
in
so
their evaluation.
So I don't know how much people out in cyber, so I'm going to try and repeat a little bit of what you just said. So the question was, do we or other schools have incorporated a type of a 360 evaluation from students and parents at the end of each semester on teachers, similar to the ones that we put out on the principals? Is that correct?
Yes.
So that is, it's something we would have to go back and talk with the association about, and it's not part of the current collective bargaining agreement. I think that within a building, we can solicit, principals can choose to solicit staff and students. I've worked in as a teacher where we had to do evaluations, ask our students evaluations, and it was part of our plan. So I'm familiar with that piece of it. I think part of the program that we put together incorporates those duties that teachers are keeping their grades up, and they're attending faculty meetings, they're doing their duties that they're supposed to do, and all that. That is all part of an evaluation of a principal, of a teacher. So it's not just them teaching, but it's of all their duties. So I would, Mr. Broadley would have to speak to is there any stipulations on teachers have to have, X number of grades per week or per month or something like that in Power School. But I can let him answer that question.
Okay. Yeah, June, and I know we've had conversations on this too recently. I have, since our last grading period, which was the 30th of September, I have taken that observation with yourself and a couple other parents and shared with the staff what my expectations are which are a minimum of 1 to 2 grades per week, not leaving stuff till the end of a marking period, and reporting back and sharing the success of each individual student. And I've also been tracking it somewhat, and it looks like, again, short term, but it looks like there are improvement because many teachers are doing a great job with grades. All teachers are doing a great job. And it's just staying on top of everything that's going on. So again, I welcome your feedback, and hopefully we will see it improving.
Okay, thank you.
Jason,
So what is the CBA? How often do teachers have to have reviews? Can you refresh my memory? I can't remember.
So the collective bargaining agreement is the CBA. That's the contract.
Right.
So they're reviewed on an annual basis.
Okay. So let's say I'm a teacher. I've been here. We have a lot of teachers who've been here a long time. So that says something in itself. How do you keep that teacher who's been here, was it step 18, so, or 18 or 20 years or whatever? How do you keep them engaged, Mr. Broadley, to continue to do a great job?
How do I keep them engaged? Support them in all, continue to support them in every aspect that I can. Check in often. Man management and communication are 2 important keys in my leadership style. I take interest in what our staff do. I take interest in their families. I take interest in them, and I make sure that I show that, not just by a token comment, but regularly. And I believe that's a good key to success and keeping them on task.
And then on the same token, what happens if, all of a sudden you get a review, you're 1, 2, 3, new teacher, I would assume that they're really energetic, and then all of a sudden 5 or 6, what's the secret, or what's the solution to get that person back to
a new teacher?
No, not a new teacher, but like get them back to where they were like a year ago, or something it's human nature. People tend to get comfortable, I guess. How do you prevent that?
How do I deal with it, or how do I prevent getting them that way?
Well, have you had that situation yet?
Not a lot. I mean, there's been a few. I listen. I've become a very good listener now. I was terrible at being a listener in my earlier part of my career. I think I listen a lot better and try not to interrupt people, which was another concern that people would point out to me. I feel that just in listening and responding to individuals and giving them little clues on how they could get better. An example that I love to use because it's a very clear explanation is looking at a veteran teacher who, in her area, it was a smaller area and her room was not, it had everything in it, and this was 6-7 years ago maybe. In observing her, she had a smart board, she had group tables, she had individual seating, but I still noticed that kids were moving around, which is not a bad thing, but she was really finding it hard to have enough room. And I just said to her after the observation, as well as the key points, I said, hey, why don't we move your spaces? I can think of another space you could be in that would give you that opportunity to teach the way you want to teach and not get frustrated with it because you don't have that little bit more room or whatever. And we did that, moved, and that teacher was like a brand new teacher. And again, it's a testimonial to her and to what we did, but it was just a simple, it wasn't this really critical, piece of pedagogy or whatever, but it was just a simple solution in my mind. She tried it and it worked, and it's great. So, yeah.
So one of the things we also built into this plan was that teachers have to develop goals, right? So for their own professional development. And that hasn't been something they've had to really do in the past. And they have to be tied in and signed off by a principal. So the principal's got, what are the goals of the school? What are the goals of the district?
Right.
And how are your goals tying into it? So that a lot of times, not every professional development opportunity a teacher takes is always tied into their certification. We want them to, but we also want them to grow as learners, because we want them to be lifelong learners. So there's a big piece of that built into it. The other thing with Deb Cardane that we've really tried to do is we have expert teachers here. And one way you talk about how you reinvigorate, right? How do you, because we know that the sweet spot is if you can get a teacher to last, stay longer than 5 years, you're going to keep them for a while, right? So how do we take those teachers and then make them master teachers and teach our newer teachers, right? And so with the professional development and how we're designing it it's a teach the teacher kind of thing, right? So if we're not just bringing people in from outside, we're using ourselves. So this last professional development we had, the theme is let's learn together. And we had our own people teaching, and the feedback was phenomenal from folks. And I talked with teachers who 18 years, right? And they're like, that was one of the best PDs we've ever had, or God, I felt so great offering my stuff. Nobody's asked to see that. And if you talk about how do you reinvigorate teachers and get them to kind of be fresh, if you will, I think that's a lot of it is building them up from the inside, and there's accountability, right?
Right. So, I think anyone who's in business, I think people tend to not, money isn't always the number one driver why people leave. A lot of it, people leave because of their boss. So if people are staying, that's a testament to you, Mr. Broadley. And so you also, Andy, you also sent out a survey on, I think, just Mr. Broadley, right?
No, I sent it out on all principals.
All principals, but so
yeah.
How's did you get results back?
We did get results back.
We're
still sorting them out. I have not shared them with him because we're still sorting them out because how I set it up, it didn't all dump into a nice little spreadsheet. I got to go through and pull his out and keep them separate. And then one of the biggest concerns we heard from staff is there's still across the SU a concern of anonymity. Even though we collected no email addresses, we collected no, the only thing we asked is, are you a teacher, an admin, a community member, a school board member, just because we wanted to be able to okay, here's how teachers feel, here's how this, and still people put identifiers in their comments. And so it's like, you got to, to try and be fair to people is to go through and kind of scrub that out.
Right.
So I'm hoping to get that to folks this week. So.
And I'm sure you stop in and evaluate Mr. Broadley, shoulder to shoulder kind of stuff, coaching sessions. I'm sure I'm guessing, but it's not just going to be off the survey because you might have some. No, not at all. Like a rogue board member, not me, but a rogue board member might just totally throw Mr. Broadley in there.
Well, if you want to be honest, only one board member actually filled out the survey.
Okay.
So, because I have looked at it, and again,
You did it as a parent.
Okay, but the survey is only a snapshot of what it is, and so therefore it's something we haven't done.
Right.
And when we talked as an administrative staff of wanting to elicit that feedback, so we're going to do it in the fall and we're going to do it in the spring.
Right.
So we're hoping to build on it so that it becomes meaningful, because I think not everyone understood the full value of it, and so therefore we didn't get a lot of respondents overall. We probably only got like 10% of the total population.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that you're doing that. I'm glad to hear that, Mr. Broadley, you seem very engaged with the staff, and your contract ends this year. So it's like, it's going to be quick, and the more opportunity you get to improve or keep doing great things. And, the survey, it'll help. Can't fix it if you don't know, right?
Right. That's right.
Okay, can we move on to approving some policies? June, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
I'm gonna leave you on so we can have your vote on these policies.
Okay.
Okay.
Priscilla, you
I
got
would
it.
make a motion that we approve the policies listed on the agenda, D1, D1A, D5, which were posted 9/28/22, D35, B35, which is the same one the policy committee wanted it in two places, at F2, which were posted on 9/30/22, and C9 and C13, which were posted on 10/14/22.
So we have D4 on our list, Title I
D4 was
comparability.
removed from the agenda, it's supposed to be, because that's already been approved.
Okay, good. That's what we just want to check.
So there is a motion to approve the policies listed on our agenda excluding D4, which is something we've already taken care of. Is there any discussion or questions for Priscilla?
I have a question on D1.
Go ahead.
It says, that the students at Bellsall Community High School may receive credit for learning to take place at
I can't get her.
but they have to have a certain amount of credit a year, and I was wondering what that was to advance, to promote to the next grade.
So I think we need to repeat the question, and I'm sorry, June, it's just, we don't have you, we got you on speaker, but it's not like really loud.
Okay, it says promotion from grade to grade at Bellsall Junior High School is dependent on the earning of credit. My question was, how many credits a year do the students have to make to get promoted to the next
Got it.
grade level?
So the question is, students have to earn a specific number of credits every year to be promoted to the next grade, and what is that specific number? Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
I don't have the grade to grade because that is a procedure that occurs in the guidance office when they check credits, and they go over that with students. The total credits are at graduation time. They are not divided equally into the 4 years because you only need specific ones to get to the next level. I think you need English each year is one of the ones that is required each year. I think Mr. Broadley has gone to get you the exact answer on this, but it's like I said, it's not the full credits each year that are required to get there, but that is the procedure that's in there. So that's why it was included in the high school's recommendation to the policy committee to have that in there. And we went with their recommendation.
It should be in the program of study.
Right.
And that's printed every year, June, and handed out. It's also online. And it should tell you what like, just as we were talking about financial literacy here. So in a policy, we're not going to put a specific number because credits can change, the required credits, so.
Anything else, June?
I have another question on, hold on, I'll find it, sorry.
That's okay.
The homeless one, I guess it was for Mr. Broadley, and I gave him a heads up. How many are there in our school?
So the question is, how many homeless students do we have in our school?
Yeah.
That is privileged information, June, and is not provided to the public.
Okay, all right.
So in fact, there's very few people within even the SU who are aware of the number of homeless students we have.
Okay.
David Clark.
Thank you, Molly. I want to preface my remarks by saying I'm going to support the motion. However, somewhere in that alphabet soup of policies that we're about to pass, I believe there is one on proficiency-based graduation requirements. And I'm querying the policy chair as to if my recollection is correct on that.
That's D1, which is what June was just asking about. Because ours does require, it is based on credits, David, and the credits are that they have to earn to be able to graduate.
Okay,
And that's
thank
part
you.
of that.
And that is a proficiency-based graduation requirement. And I did read through that, and there was some reference as to the State Board of Education determining what those proficiency-based graduation requirements look like. And I would be very interested to know, not necessarily tonight, but I would be very interested to know how one determines proficiency in proficiency-based graduation requirements. And that's my, at this point, rhetorical question, because I don't think we need to get into a long discussion of it right here.
Thank you. Anyone else? Brenda?
So when I was on the policy committee, I think it was maybe last year, I was looking at the nutrition policy, and I just had one question. On letter E, number 3, what does it mean? Food shall not be used in district schools as a reward or punishment.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Food shall not be used in district schools as a reward or punishment. What does that mean?
That means that you can't.
Does that mean they go to detention and they miss
okay,
lunch?
if you do this, I'll give you this snack.
Yeah.
And I can't remove the food and say you can't have it because you've done something wrong.
Because I'm
it's
thinking
brought
of it.
in.
Okay,
Food is to be used for wellness.
great.
It's to be used to support our health.
Because I'm looking at it at high school board and I'm like, do they go to detention and they don't get to eat, or what does that
But
mean?
that's exactly what it means, is
Okay,
that you, like, let's say a student for some reason was in the office for some violation, that you cannot not, it's a double negative, and I understand that, but you can't just not give them lunch.
Yeah.
You have to still provide them lunch.
Okay.
So often you'll walk down,
Yeah.
get a lunch, bring it to them so that they still have that.
Okay.
So.
Because the way it's stated, it's the way I train my pets. I was like, what? But I figured that's probably what you meant, because the rest of the whole thing is about nutrition and wellness.
Yeah. And a lot of times when we do behavior plans at the younger grades, when we're working with some behavior modification, we do not use food.
Mm.
We use more trinkets and things like that, more tangibles, just because of that.
Okay.
So you're not giving the student, here, I'll give you a piece of candy if you
Yeah.
follow directions.
I do with my help all the time.
You can give us. You can give us
Corporate
stickers.
America is so much different, just so you know.
We know.
Any other questions before we vote on the policies? Okay, it looks like we are ready to vote. I'm gonna do a roll call. I got David.
Yes.
June, you still with us?
Yes.
Got a yes from June. It doesn't look like I have
I don't know.
Deb anymore.
I don't know who iPhone Margaret is.
iPhone Margaret, are you a board member? Okay, we're gonna say no.
Okay.
Margot,
Yes.
Priscilla,
Yes.
Jason,
Abstain.
Brenda,
Yes.
Molly, yes. Okay, so we got through all that. And now we are at director's comments. So June, I'm gonna give you the floor first, because my phone's about ready to die.
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, David Clark. You got on mute, bud.
One day with you.
Am I not heard, Molly?
There you go.
Okay. I want to thank Andy for sending over policies. And I just breezed through proficiency-based graduation requirements, and I challenge anyone on the receiving end of that document to tell me what proficiency-based graduation requirements are. Now, I want to talk about buildings and grounds. This building was built in the heyday of PCVs. And a little bit to the north of us in the Queen City, Burlington, their high school building was condemned because of PCB contamination. They are right now in the process of seeing if they can float a $165 million bond to replace it. I wish them all the luck in the world and hope they don't try to lay it off their bond costs and us down here, because they almost certainly will go to the legislature for help. But I think we have an obligation, certainly a moral obligation, possibly a legal obligation, to do a little bit of research and find out where we stand here with this building and PCBs. I do not think that taking the attitude of sticking our head ostrich style in a hole and waiting 3 years for the state of Vermont to get around doing the testing is a very good idea. Because if, in fact, we have issues and it looks like we're going to be able to spend some ESSER money correcting some of the obvious issues, now is the time to find out if we have a problem that needs dealing with, not 3 years from now. So I'm going to suggest that when Buildings and Grounds meets, that we maybe have a discussion as to whether we are going to address the issue of potential PCB contamination head on, or just kind of ignore it and hope that it doesn't happen here. Thank you, Molly.
Thank you. And Margot, you're next.
I think I'm all set, thank you.
Priscilla?
Just want to say congratulations to our teams on Friday. The field hockey game was absolutely amazing to be able to pull it off with 2 seconds remaining, right? And win by 1 point in sudden death. And then our high school team, fantastic job against Spalding. The scores are really lopsided, but the game itself was really an interesting game, and you could see the back and forth between the teams, which was a pleasure to see. And as I end usually, please remember that kindness to every single person, because if you can do even one act each day, it makes a fantastic difference in our world. Thank you.
Brenda?
Yeah, I had a comment. I guess I represent a clergy stakeholder maybe on the board in the community as a board member. And I do have one positive comment to make about DEI, is that in the student handbook last year, it said that there should be no religious material posted publicly without proper approval. And there is a bulletin board right here in the hall that does have something quoted. It doesn't cite the source, but I believe it's Ephesians 4:32. And I just wanted to say that I see that that's part of inclusion and equity, because I've heard a lot of people that are discouraged that not everything is proper or available in the school. And so I just wanted to say.
Jason?
Thanks, Molly. I just wanted to say, I hope that any senior who is 18 this year registers to vote. We have midterms next week, and I really hope that anyone who's graduated last year or the year before, and those people are obviously of voting age now, vote. And it's your right, and please do that. Don't not vote. Thank you.
Mr. Bradley, I'm putting you on the spot one more time. I would like to hear again, when is the game? What time? Where is it? And where should everyone be? Because I think there's a play too.
For this one?
Oh, no, it's next. The play's next.
No,
week, isn't it?
plays this one.
Places.
Okay, well, here we go.
So Tomorrow, field hockey are traveling to Middlebury for a 5:45 game against CVU, Champlain Valley Union, in the field hockey semi-final for the right to play at UVM on Saturday. I believe against the winner of Burlington or Essex, but don't quote me on that one. I've been looking at a lot of teams lately. Friday night, our football team will host Brattleboro in a Division II semi-final for the right to play in Rutland in the final against the winner of MAU Fairhaven, I believe, in the other bracket.
And what time is that game?
That game is 7 p.m. Come one, come all. Bring a large wallet and spend a lot of money in our concessions, and you'll see Molly too.
I might have to watch this game.
Okay. We've been doing really well, and the teams have been doing well, but also I've got to put me on the spot, so I've got to finish with this. I've got to say a big thank you, and it includes Molly too. Ginny Corson and all the ladies, June Streeter, Diane Stack, who doesn't even have kids in the building, and a few others. I can't remember all the names. They do a phenomenal job in the concession stand and supporting our kids. And we see the outcome of that every year when they give away thousands of dollars from what they put all their hard work into, and they love doing it. So again, I can't say enough thank you for that, because our kids do benefit a lot from it, and it's just great. They're just phenomenal, and they're fun people too. Friday nights are really fun, or Saturday afternoons, but Friday nights are better. But they're doing a phenomenal job.
Okay, can I have a couple of seconds of my director's comments?
You said to. Sorry, thank you. Thanks.
You missed a couple of really good people there every time.
Yeah.
Darlene Kelly does our 50-50 raffle. She is in the stands every single game. And Kelly Green is wherever Jeannie needs her, she's there. So it's a great group. But thank you for just getting that up to speed. And our next meeting is November 14th. And I would like to call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you.